The image in your mind is always the same: a prehistoric caveman covered in thick mud, ripping raw meat with filthy hands, and drinking from a contaminated swamp. We look back at our ancestors with a deep sense of medical superiority. We assume they lived like animals, completely helpless against the invisible monsters we now call bacteria and viruses. But history is hiding a very uncomfortable truth. The question isn't why ancient humans did not wash their hands. The real, historic mystery is why they did it so obsessively. Long before anyone ever saw a microorganism through a microscope, ancient civilizations were practicing extreme sanitation. Ancient Romans washed their hands before every single meal as a strict social rule. It was completely automatic, as natural to them as buckling a seatbelt is to you. In ancient Egypt, people manufactured a functional form of soap using animal fat and plant ash, scrubbing their skin long before modern medicine existed. For over 14 centuries, Islamic tradition codified ritual hand-washing into sacred law, creating the most consistent, unbroken hygiene program in human history. Jewish law required intricate washing rituals throughout the day, using highly specific steps and dedicated formulas. This hidden reality shatters our assumptions about the past. An enormous amount of genuine, life-saving hygiene happened for thousands of years, entirely by accident, and for all the wrong reasons. Our ancestors were successfully destroying deadly pathogens without having any idea that germs even existed. They were fighting a war against an invisible enemy, and they were winning, guided only by rituals, social pressure, and spiritual laws. But to understand how this accidental shield saved humanity from extinction, we have to look at what they actually believed was killing them. Before the second half of the 19th century, the smartest medical minds on Earth did not believe in germs. They believed in something far more terrifying: miasma, the theory of bad air. People were convinced that the foul-smelling odors rising from rotting material, swamps, and sick patients were the direct cause of infectious disease. It sounds primitive to us now, but miasma theory was incredibly sophisticated. It perfectly explained why diseases spread faster in crowded, unsanitary cities or near stagnant waters. It accurately predicted the patterns of death, even though it got the biological mechanism completely wrong. Because bad smells meant bad air, and bad air meant death, washing became a shield against the atmosphere. You did not wash your hands to remove bacteria. You washed your hands to remove the scent of decay. You washed because your religion demanded spiritual purity, because your tribe expected decorum, or because a bad odor felt dangerous. The fact that this simple act was also interrupting the deadly transmission of cholera, typhoid, and dysentery was, from the ancient perspective, completely incidental. Humanity survived on a fluke of behavioral evolution. But what happens when modern science finally discovers the truth? What happens when a doctor finally proves exactly how diseases spread and tries to tell the world? In the 1840s, a Hungarian physician named Ignaz Semmelweis stepped into the maternity wards of the Vienna General Hospital. He was about to discover the hidden mechanism of death, and the horrifying truth he uncovered would cost him his sanity and his life. To truly grasp the scale of this historical illusion, we must look at the tools our ancestors left behind. Soap is not a modern invention. The oldest known recipe for a soap-like substance was discovered on a Babylonian clay tablet, dating back to 2800 BC. It was a crude but highly effective mixture of water, alkali, and oil. For thousands of years, humans were master chemists without knowing the laws of chemistry. Think about the physical reality of using ancient soap. It was made by boiling animal fat with wood ash. To a modern observer, rubbing animal fat and ashes on your hands sounds dirty, but the molecular structure of that exact mixture was doing something extraordinary. Soap molecules have a dual nature. They possess a water-attracting head and a fat-attracting tail. When an ancient human washed their hands with this mixture, the fat-attracting tails of the soap molecules would automatically surround the lipid envelope of viruses and bacteria. They would lock onto the pathogens, break them apart, and allow the water-attracting heads to rinse the invisible threat away into the earth. This elegant chemical mechanism was completely unknown to anyone making or using soap until the 20th century. But the soap did not care about human ignorance. It worked anyway. It reduced pathogen transmission significantly more than plain water, protecting ancient communities from devastating outbreaks, entirely in the dark. In Europe, medieval cities later birthed massive commercial soap industries. Castile soap from Spain and Aleppo soap from Syria were traded across empires like gold. But where the water infrastructure collapsed, humanity fell back on an even more powerful defense mechanism: religion. When you look closely at historical disease patterns, a strange epidemiological signature begins to emerge. Cultures with strict religious washing laws often had lower rates of specific, deadly gastrointestinal infections. The Buddhist monastery codes were so explicitly detailed about hand hygiene that historians have noted lower rates of disease transmission within those ancient monastic walls. The Islamic practice of Wudu required millions of people to wash their hands, face, and feet multiple times a day before prayer. The Jewish concept of Tuma enforced immediate hand washing after waking up, after using the restroom, and before handling food. None of these practitioners woke up in the morning thinking about microbial transmission. They were maintaining a state of spiritual readiness. They were obeying a divine command, or escaping a state of ritual impurity. Yet, by washing their hands specifically before touching food, they were accidentally interrupting the fecal-oral transmission route. They were stopping cholera, typhoid, and dysentery dead in their tracks. Spirituality and social peer pressure were carrying the human immune system on their backs. This convergent behavioral discovery happened across almost every culture. It extended to our food. Think about traditional cooking and preservation. Why did our ancestors ferment vegetables, salt their meat until it was dry, or heavily spice their meals? They did it for flavor, survival, and tradition. But biologically, fermentation produces an intensely acidic environment, an environment where dangerous pathogens simply cannot duplicate or survive. Isolating the sick, which we now call quarantine, was practiced during the Black Death in Venice under the name quarantino, meaning 40 days of isolation. They believed they were keeping the bad air away from the city. In reality, they were physically stopping a biological chain reaction. The benefit of historical ritual washing was real, but it had a terrifying limit. Hand washing is a flawless shield against gastrointestinal killers, but it is completely useless against the other great horrors of history. The bubonic plague was spread by fleas. Smallpox moved through respiratory droplets and direct contact with open sores. Malaria came from the bite of a mosquito. Because ancient humans did not understand the true mechanism of disease, they could not adapt. Their accidental shield could only protect them from the dangers that entered through their hands. For everything else, they were completely defenseless. And this brings us back to the Vienna General Hospital in 1846, because the medical community was about to be handed the ultimate proof that unwashed hands were actively slaughtering thousands of innocent people, and the doctors, in their supreme modern arrogance, would refuse to look. The first ward was a factory of death. Inside the Vienna General Hospital, there were 2 identical maternity clinics. In the first ward, staffed by prestigious doctors and medical students, a terrifying postpartum infection called childbed fever was slaughtering mothers. The mortality rate sat at a brutal 12%. The horror was so widespread that pregnant women begged on their knees to be released. Some literally chose to give birth in the cold streets rather than step into that ward. But in the second clinic, staffed exclusively by humble midwives, the death rate was barely 2%. No one could explain it. The doctors blamed the air. They blamed the architecture. They even blamed the emotional shock of a priest walking through the room. But Ignaz Semmelweis noticed a single, horrific detail. The medical students in the first ward were performing autopsies on rotting cadavers in the morning and then walking straight into the delivery room to examine pregnant women. They were doing this with their bare, unwashed hands. Semmelweis did not know what bacteria was. Germ theory did not exist. But he theorized that invisible, cadaverous particles were hitching a ride on the doctor's hands, entering the bodies of the mothers and killing them. In 1847, he implemented a radical new protocol. He forced every doctor and student to wash their hands in a powerful chlorinated lime solution before touching a patient. The results were immediate. The death rate in the first ward plummeted from 12% to roughly 2%, matching the midwives. He had solved the mystery. He had saved thousands of lives with a simple bowl of chlorinated water. You would assume the medical establishment celebrated him as a hero, but instead, they destroyed him. The elite physicians were profoundly insulted. Accepting Semmelweis's theory meant accepting a devastating truth, that they, the educated gentlemen of science, had been the ones killing their own patients. It was psychologically and professionally impossible for them to look in the mirror, because Semmelweis could not provide a microscopic, visible mechanism to explain why hand-washing worked. His data was dismissed as a statistical fluke. His protocol was abandoned. He was mocked, cast out of the medical community, and eventually committed to a mental institution. In a cruel twist of historical irony, he died from an infection caused by a beating from the asylum guards, the exact type of infection he spent his life trying to cure. It took another 30 years, and the brilliant work of Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister for germ theory to finally be accepted. Modern medicine finally rehabilitated Semmelweis, recognizing him as a pioneer long after he was gone. The establishment of germ theory changed medicine forever. Turning our gaze back to human behavior reveals a profound lesson. Ancient humans washed their hands constantly for reasons that had nothing to do with germs, and they reaped the massive, incidental rewards of hygiene entirely by accident. They did the right thing for the wrong reasons. But in the modern world, we face the exact opposite crisis. We know the science. We understand the biology. We have the running water, the chemical sanitizers, and the warning signs on every wall. Yet, contemporary studies show that hand hygiene compliance among healthcare workers in modern hospitals is often below 60%. During the recent global pandemic, hand washing rates skyrocketed out of fear, only to collapse back to lazy baselines the moment the intense psychological crisis faded. Ancient humans were not dirty or stupid. They were humans, navigating a dangerous world with the tools of culture, ritual, and social pressure. And modern humans, despite all our superior scientific knowledge, are still driven by the exact same primitive psychology. We did not invent hygiene. We just finally figured out, thousands of years too late, why it was keeping us alive. The next time you wash your hands, remember, you are not just practicing modern medicine. You are performing an ancient, sacred ritual that carried your ancestors through the dark and ensured that you would be here today to tell the story. If this story changed the way you see the past, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a comment below with your thoughts, and watch the next video on your screen right now to uncover more hidden layers of human history.